Should I journal? How would you like to transform your life? Would you like to be free from addictions? Would you like to find your higher purpose? Then stay tuned and be sure and like and subscribe to our channel if you find this help you. I want to tell you a story. It's a very intriguing and true story. And in this story, I want to make one point. The point I want to make is that journaling can transform a life. Journaling is a powerful tool that has been around since the early documented stages of life. Its powers have transformed many people beyond their wildest imagination, and it totally transformed my life. So let's dive into this story and explore the powers and possibilities of journaling. This story starts in the year 2018 in Salt Lake City. Picture in your mind a man 58 years old who was broken and addicted to alcohol and drugs, who had just in the course of 4 years prior taken on a wife who gave birth to 2 boys. At this point, I had older children. All the children were by previous marriages and were grown and had children of their own. I wish I could say that I had raised those kids and given them the best life possible, but that would have been a lie. The truth is I failed miserably with my older children, dropping out of their life at a very young age while retreating into a life of alcohol, drugs, jails, and homelessness. I was too ashamed of myself to call them on their birthdays, and more importantly, to just call them to see how they were doing. I felt like a loser and a failure in their eyes and in mine, so at this point, I was not in a very good place. It would take me too long in this audio to describe all of the troubles in the past and the hell I put myself, my family, friends, and society through. So with that little background noted, I will pick up my story. My boys were the ages of 4 and 2, and incapable of understanding how Providence had put them in the life of an old man, or put them in the household of one soul, in such need of help himself. So they were totally oblivious to the fact that I had just gotten out of jail for probably the 5th time in as many months. But what they didn't know, and obviously couldn't have known at such a young age, was that I had undergone a change this time while away. They nor I knew that this time it would be different. While in jail, it occurred to me that I was responsible for all of my problems. In the past, and throughout my life, I have been blaming everyone else for my troubles. And for the last 4 years, I had been blaming my wife for always calling the police on me and having me put in jail. So that's how it was, until I discovered journaling. Little did I know that things were about to change and transform my life. I had recently converted to Mormonism and discovered that Joseph Smith himself kept a journal. And from that, I got the idea that I might at least try. I got all hold of a composition book that my wife had bought for the kids and set out on one of the most magnificent journeys into the knowledge of myself that I had ever taken. In the past, I have tried so many things to improve myself. I have gone to rehabs, done the AA thing, and attempted to quit on my own countless times. The problem is I always start a lot of things and never finish them. I deal with the shiny object syndrome, meaning that I can't concentrate on one thing long enough before something else catches my attention. But this time it was different. I was determined to keep this journal for 30 days. I knew that the experts recommended doing something for 30 days consistently to create a habit. So I started writing in my journal without any instructions as to how a journal should be kept. I created my own method of what felt good to me. Since I wanted to document my journey through the journal, I wrote the date, the time, and the location. I also included 3 things that I was grateful for at the top of the page. Little did I know that this was my pathway to contentment. I documented daily how I felt emotionally, physically, and spiritually. For the first time, I became truthful with myself. At first, I was a little hesitant to write internal things and secrets that I dealt with. But later I realized that no one would ever read this anyway. I wrote about arguments with my wife, problems on the jobs, and my daily struggle without drugs and alcohol. And each day before I started journaling for that day, I would read my last entry, which would have been the day before. I was amazed to recognize that most of the incidents and the issues I had forgotten. I began to recognize patterns of things. Things that were of utmost importance to me the day before seemed really trivial now while reading them. I discovered knowledge of myself that included my weaknesses and my strengths. I saw a pattern of how I looked at the world and tackled issues that arose in my life. I recognized emotions and triggers that had become a pattern in my life. In short, I learned about myself. It was like putting a microscope on mental life. I received so much insight into myself the first week that I was hooked from that moment forth. I began to look forward to my journey. I was learning so much about myself that I never knew before. Through journaling, I got to the root of the problem of my struggle with alcohol and drugs. Through journaling, I came to be aware that my alcohol and drugs were not the primary problem. I found the primary problem was my emotions, my triggers, and my attempt to navigate through life. And it changed me dramatically. Over a period of 30 days, the cravings stopped. They stopped because I was analyzing the triggers, because I was finally analyzing me. I became aware of the enormous power that journaling held. I became infatuated with the practice. The more I wrote, the stronger I became. As of this writing, I have not touched a drink in 16 years. In conclusion, I would say that if you are serious about getting off of drugs or alcohol, then journey journaling is your way out. Journaling will transform your life. It will make you know you better than you ever have before. The change will be phenomenal. Others will notice the change. They will probably notice it before you even notice it yourself. Go find yourself a notebook and start your journaling practice today.